Your favorite PGA and LPGA legends, pros and top instructors are right here every week on Next on the Tee. Join Chris as the greats of the game share their stories, insights and playing lessons. Now, back to Chris and more of the show.
All right, now back with me and making his fifth appearance on the French Lick Resort guest line is Bill Bergin. Let me remind you about Bill's background. Played his college golf at Auburn University from 1978 to 1981, and he was named first team All-SEC every year, and he helped Auburn win the 1981 SEC championship. His 65 at the 1979 Pan American Tournament still ranks as one of the lowest 18-hole scores in Auburn golf history. He's played in over 250 professional tournaments worldwide, including 3 U.S. Opens, 2 Open Championships, and over 50 PGA Tour events. He's now recognized as one of the top golf course designers around the world, and he started his own design company called Bergin Golf Designs, and he has designed or redesigned courses all across the country and around the world. He's been involved in over 70 golf course design projects, highlighted by his completed courses at places like the Chattanooga Golf and Country Club, which is a Donald Ross design course along the Tennessee River that Bill helped restore. He recently redesigned Minnesota Valley Country Club, which is a Seth Rayner design. He and Rees Jones have collaborated on the McLemore Golf Club just outside of Chattanooga, and he's got several other projects in the works. You can see his works by going online to his site, bergingolf.com, and I'm excited he is back with me tonight here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Bill, thanks for coming back on the show.
Hey, Chris. I'm glad to be here, and I have got to give a shout-out to Michelle. I'm a big fan of hers, and she does some wonderful things, and she's also been a big advocate of the Longleaf Tee system, so it's good to see that she and I were on the same show today.
I appreciate that. So, Bill, I got to start by getting your thoughts on your Auburn Tigers. First, on the football side, I'm sure this hasn't been the season you and Auburn fans were hoping for, but still got an opportunity to impact the national championship hopes for both Georgia and Alabama. So how do you feel about Auburn for the rest of the season?
You know, we could probably talk about that for the rest of the segment, but you know, we have such potential, but yet you just never know what you're going to get. It was great to see that last drive on Saturday. Really the last couple minutes of that game were amazing for our quarterback and for our team. That was the first really come from behind victory we've had in a long time. So I know that what we did last year was pretty miraculous, beating Georgia and Alabama. In fact, we were the team that beat the 2 teams that played in the national championship game. So that was a moral victory for Auburn last year. But yeah, this season's been a little bit disappointing, but it's always fun. Game day down at Auburn University is a special thing. If you've never been down there, it is an amazing place. I wish I got the chance to go more often.
So maybe on a happier side, the Auburn men's golf team just won the East Lake Cup, defeating Alabama, oh, by the way, to win it. They're ranked 15th in the poll that came out most recently on October the 30th. So talk about Auburn golf and how you feel about where the program's at.
Absolutely. And the women's team just won a tournament this week. So I'm not actually sure which tournament it was. I think it was in Texas maybe, but they won a tournament as well. So really a great 2 weeks for the Auburn golf program. We have excellent coaches, and that's really where things start. I mean, Nick Kleinert and Melissa Llewellyn have done a fantastic job with our teams. I am fortunate to be involved with things down there. We just built a new practice green to add to we have a 22-acre practice facility at Auburn for the golf teams. It's incredible. Wow. Big driving range, you know, with both ends, obviously. That's the easy part. And then we have 8 acres on the far side, which has 4 greens, and they're USGA spec greens where you can really do anything from 200 yards down to, you know, to chip shots. So they are able to recreate situational practice. Anything they need to do, they're able to do that. But one thing was an all Bermuda grass golf course. And as you know, these college teams are traveling all over the country now. And so the coaches wanted a bent grass green. And so we built a new one this year. In a really good environment. Auburn's hot down there, and so to grow bent grass, you need great sunlight and great air circulation. And so we built it up on top of an old range tee, and it's a nice, almost 8,000 square foot green with the AU Victory bent grass, which is developed at Auburn, and it is more heat tolerant. And it's kind of fun to be able to use our own grass on this facility and just offer the teams another way of preparing for the championships that they play in. And so last year they were semifinalists, I believe, at the NCAA championship out at Oklahoma State, and they played at Karsten Creek, which was a bent grass golf course. Well, we don't get to putt on bent grass all the time, and so now this green is about to open this month. They'll be able to prepare more, and they've really got everything you could ask for as far as a college golf program goes. So it's a terrific place, and the young men and women that play out of that facility are really fortunate.
Bill, I want to talk a little bit about some of your most recent work, and I've seen several pictures of the McLemore Course that you and Rees Jones have co-designed. It absolutely looks spectacular. Catch us up on how that project is coming.
Yeah, McLemore is a resort second home community up on Lookout Mountain, and Lookout Mountain is basically a ridge line that runs south of Chattanooga, and it sits at 2,000 feet above sea level. Actually, we have spots on the course at about 2,200 feet. Well, Chattanooga is more like 600 feet, so that lets you know that elevation is significant, and it gives us these incredible views over McLemore Cove, which is where our name is derived from. And it's a mountain resort type property. So it's rugged with lots of rock. It's got bent grass greens. It's got, Bermuda fairways, but a lot of cool season native grasses. And it's just in this place where you feel like you've left wherever your home was and gone on vacation. It just has that feel. It's a getaway place. We have plans for a Hilton hotel of their curio collection that's going to sit right on the ridge looking out over McLemore Cove. And then our golf course just winds through this property through an area that we call the Canyon area, and then up on Highlands, which, is obviously a playoff of the Scottish term. And then we've got cliff holes. Our first hole and our 18th hole are right on the cliff. And I'm not a person who is a big fan of heights. And our 18th green, literally 10 yards left of our 18th green, it drops about 1,000 feet. So it's pretty dramatic and an incredible site with tons of beauty. And what we've added to it, we think, is just great golf. And it's a renovation. So 17 holes occupy the same ground, although we pushed and pulled like we always do. But we rebuilt all the greens complexes. So the shots around the greens are completely new. Tremendous diversity in short game opportunities. We've expanded greens complexes to make the complex play larger, but not necessarily the putting surface. And so, that's something that I look at on all my designs. I like the golf course to actually play good, but yet we want to preserve par. We still want a challenging golf course. So, the closer you get to the hole, maybe possibly the more difficult it is, but we give you plenty of room to feel like the golf course is fair and fun. So definitely have done that at McLemore and really done a great job. You've seen my bunkering and we take a lot of pride in that, but we've got just beautiful bunkering, interesting shots around the greens, and every hole is diverse. And in fact, it's one of those courses where you will remember all the golf holes because no two are alike, and they really just stand out. So it's been a really exciting project. We're almost finished, other than building that 18th hole, and its green is planted and growing in, but we're still building the 18th, and it sits literally along a ridge line right on the edge of a cliff, and there's just not many sites like that, certainly in the southeast. So we're really excited about opening that.
When do you anticipate the course being open?
I would think about May 1st. So it'll be in the spring. And literally, other than the 18th hole, we'll be certainly ready to go. It will be the one that determines when we do open. And we're still building it. I'm heading up there tomorrow. And we're shaping the fairway, building tees, getting ready to put irrigation in, but we've still got a little bit of rock we've got to get out of the way. This is a rocky site. If you've ever been on Lookout Mountain, it's a tremendous area, and you literally have homes intermingled with giant boulders, and I'm talking boulders that are as big as the house, and you'll have a house just fits right in there with the boulders. Our golf course is a bit like that, and so it's an incredible place. I mean, things that people do up there, that they cycle, they hang glide, they rock climb, they hike. There's a lot to do in the area besides playing golf, but we want to make the golf the main attraction on this site.
So with that project wrapping up a bit, what are some of the other projects you're currently working on?
Yeah, so we're loaded up for the next couple of years, really. Although we're always looking for new things, but we're really loaded for the next couple of years. We've got 3 jobs up in the mountains. We're doing Big Canoe, which is a 27-hole community north of Atlanta in the mountains with a couple big lakes. And then we're working up in Highlands, which is one of the highest areas in the southeast. Highlands, North Carolina, sits at about 4,100 feet above sea level. So when it's 90 degrees in Atlanta, it's 72 degrees up there with no humidity, and it is remarkable. It is such a beautiful place. And we're working a course called Highlands Falls there. And then as you continue north up into North Carolina in the mountains, we're working in a place in a town called Roaring Gap, and at a course called High Meadows. So those are 3 mountain courses, that are all on our books right now. And then we've got a beach course down at Santa Rosa Beach. And so those are 4 of the projects that we're actively working on at the moment, and they're all sort of that second home or getaway resort type facilities. So some that certainly people who are listening can go play. So that's exciting as well.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to get your thoughts on some things going on around the game of golf and out on the tours. And we continue to see guys on the PGA Tour sort of bombing drives, 350 plus yards on a semi-regular basis. And they bomb it as far as they can off the tee because the fairways are so wide and the rough isn't all that high. And regardless of where the ball lands, they'll be able to gouge it out, get it, short iron, get it up on the green. And we saw how different the game is over in Europe at the Ryder Cup when the emphasis was more on driving accuracy. And our guys seem to struggle a bit because they're used to just hitting it all over the place. And over there, they couldn't get away with it. So I was curious to get your thought as a designer. Is that what we're going to have to do with the golf courses over here, since we can hit it as far and, they're not going to put the toothpaste back in the tube with the golf ball and stuff like that. At least I can't imagine they are, or go to bifurcation. So we're going to have to do some things with the golf courses, like narrow the fairways, grow up the rough, and that sort of thing to keep the game and a lot of the golf courses around the country relevant?
That's a great question, and I've thought a lot about it. One of the things that you and I have talked about before that's a characteristic of our design work is our course ratings are actually quite difficult, and our slope ratings on our courses are modest. And what that means is for the average golfer, our courses are very playable, but for the better golfer, they're actually harder. And so we have a certain philosophy about the way we set up golf courses that I think would translate to the tour, although don't let me go too far down this road because I don't want to underestimate their abilities. I was fortunate to play in 50 PGA Tour events, but I would tell you that was in the 80s, and today they play a different game. They hit it so far, it's just almost beyond what I can fathom. And the launch angles that they hit the ball, you look at it and you go, well, back in the day, we consider that ball skied, and they've just flown it 330 yards at a trajectory that is really hard to imagine. So, adjusting the golf course for less, it's so much less than 1% really doesn't make a lot of sense. I think it's probably a bigger conversation piece than something that we need to worry about, because there just aren't that many players that play at that level. For most golfers, we're building golf courses that are quite honestly much shorter. We're adding forward tees on every golf course that we do, and we do add length when we can, but what I've always found is I search for yardage diversity more than I search for a 74 or 7,500 yard golf course. I want a great mix. I want some short holes, I want some good long holes, and stuff in between. And if you get that balance, I think you've got the best golf course. It's going to be really interesting to see how Pebble Beach plays, because that course is probably just under 6,900 yards, which in today's world is really short. But the different thing at Pebble Beach that we haven't seen in a little while is the average green size is 4,000 square feet. So those are small targets. Those are really small targets. So players are not going to want to be in bad position. And the U.S. Open will probably grow a little bit more traditional rough next year. I was fortunate to play in the U.S. Open at Pebble in 1982, so I can't wait to watch it this summer and see how the game has changed and see how the golf course is set up and see how the players adapt to it. It's going to be really, really exciting.
So, Bill, as you mentioned, hole diversity, I was curious, when you're doing an original course design and you've got a raw piece of property to work with, how do you determine how the course is going to be laid out? Length of holes, this one's going to be straight, this one is going to be a dogleg left, or this is going to be a dogleg right. When you're laying that whole thing out, how do you go about determining how that's going to, what that formation is going to look like?
Yeah, so it's interesting. In fact, I'm working on a new project up in Tennessee. It's not a full golf course, but it's a pretty cool golf amenity project. And you start out with a topo. The topo tells you where your good green sites are. And the topo tells you where your angles are and which direction you're going. And it's literally designing a new golf course is literally a 20-piece puzzle. You've got 18 holes, you've got practice facilities, you've got clubhouse that you have to concern yourself with, and you may have a real estate component as well. But those 20 pieces that 20-piece puzzle, we literally take templates, which are little, holes that are on a hinge that we lay on the topo, and we start playing with them just like you would with a puzzle. And you start, and the funny thing is the land designs the golf course. The architect's job is to discover it. And, if you have the right property, that's a pretty easy thing. If you have a tougher property, it can be quite challenging. And we may do, 5 to 10 different routings when we're looking at a new golf course, just trying to fit the land. But some of those holes just keep showing up. I mean, you just go, that is such a good greens complex in that area. I'm going to keep that and I'm going to work around it. And then I look at, again, diversity. I'd love to design, and we have a bunch of them, but a bunch of one par 3 on each course that's 130 to 150 yards, a short one. And then I want one that's 230, 240 these days, okay, where you actually put a 4-iron in a tour player's hand. It used to be a 3-wood from that distance, but put a 4-iron in their hand and then get 2 middle par 3s, and you may have one with water. And, it's funny, a frontal hazard never bothers a good player. The side hazards do. So if you're going to have a water hazard, you don't want it out in front. You really want it on the side. That's what gets tour players' attention. Because they are going to push it and pull it, but they hit it solid every time. So something in front doesn't really bother them very much. And then you're looking at, one really reachable par 5 and one unreachable par 5 that's purely a 3-shotter. And then the other 2, they might be semi-reachable, although, again, that's almost impossible in today's world when guys are flying at 330 with a driver and 250 with a 3-wood. You can see how quickly that adds up to 600 yards. So, anyway, that's how we start. And then we want a long par 4 on each 9. We want a short par 4, possibly drivable. And again, you're looking for that mix and that balance, all while trying to fit it on the topography. And the topography is the number one designer, and then we're trying to fit around with what God's given us.
Bill, just a couple more before we let you go. And with all the rules changes set to come in January, one of the things that I was surprised to hear some chatter about is the idea of fixing spike marks, and that, guys now, since will be able to sort of fix everything, are going to be tapping down a lot around the hole. And the idea that, guys going to be tapping around the hole, all through 4 rounds in a couple of practice rounds, is that's going to lead to undulations and some untrue rolls as the ball gets closer to the hole. And I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought, wow, it's great. Now that you can fix spark marks, that's going to make everything roll truer. But I'm hearing there may be some unintended consequences. Does that make any sense?
I haven't heard that yet, but I would think that's not going to be as big a deal as it sounds, and I don't think it will take players very long to do it because they know specifically where their line is. I will say that I've heard a lot of conversation about the new soft spikes and, how they make the spider spikes that actually do more damage to the green than old metal spikes did. And so that's an interesting thing. I love the soft spikes because you can wear them in a restaurant, you can wear them in the clubhouse, you can go anywhere you want with them. So they're convenient for that reason. But superintendents say they do more, they make more marks and more indentations around the hole than metal spikes did. So I hadn't heard that about the tapping it down, but I will. That's something, whenever you bring something up, I'm going to go ask some of my superintendents and say, what do you think about that? So good question.
Bill, and when you finished a project, I'm always curious. We like to try to keep things on the positive side here. And And I got to imagine you've gotten a lot of really positive feedback at the end of, all the great redesigns and course designs you've done. But what's the nicest thing someone's ever said to you when you finished a project?
One of my favorites is a member told me that he goes, "You've spoiled me. I don't enjoy playing anywhere but my home course anymore." And that's a big compliment that
Wow.
They love their course so much that they don't really enjoy going other places. They're always disappointed. So that's a big one. And we've had a couple of really cool things. 4 of our most recent projects all have waiting lists now to join the club, and they're obviously private clubs. And I work on a lot of historical, so older ones, that are from the 20s or even the teens. But 4 of our most recent ones have waiting lists, and so that says a lot. That says people are really enjoying, and they didn't prior to the work, and so that says that people are enjoying playing the golf courses. So that is very rewarding to me when I get the call from a general manager that says, "Hey, we have a waiting list now," and thank you. So that's exciting stuff.
So remind our listeners how they can stay up to date with all the great things you're doing, whether it's on your website or on social media now.
Yeah, so we're really active on social media, and it's funny, as winter approaches, I always do a whole of the week type post because we don't have as many jobs under construction, we don't travel as much in the winter, and it's kind of bleak and dreary, and you're looking for those green grass opportunities and something beautiful. So we go through 18 weeks of a whole of the week, and this year we're going to do transformations. So we're going to do renovations where we show the before we started working and what we finished with, and we're going to do that once a week. So we do that on Twitter, we do it on Instagram, and we do it on Facebook. And then obviously our website at www.bergingolf.com. But we're very active on social media. In fact, a lot of my clients, I'm certainly getting jobs because of social media, believe it or not. So it's one of those things where you're on people's mind, and when it's time for them to renovate, they go, "Hey, I've seen his work. Let's give him a call." And that's happening for us. So that's exciting. So we take advantage of social media and enjoy it.
That's fantastic. Good for you. Well, Bill, it's always great having you as part of the show. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come back and join me again tonight. I hope you'll come back a little bit later on in the winter as we can start to get people excited about some of the things that you're going to have coming up in the spring. But thank you for being here tonight.
It's my pleasure, and you guys keep up with the McLemore project. It's definitely a resort that people can come play, and we look forward to showing more of it as we get ready to open it up. So thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing it. Take care, Bill. All the best to you and your family. We'll catch up soon.
Same to you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Same to you. Folks, that's the great Bill Bergin. And again, it's bergingolf.com and at Bergin Golf on social media. Great stuff. McLemore, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, please, I highly encourage you, go online. themclemore.com is the website, and it looks absolutely spectacular. And when you talk about a high-end resort hotel on the property as well, boy, that's going to be a place. It's just outside of Chattanooga. So really looking forward to going to check out that property before long.